Okay, so there is a lot of power fluctuation. I'm not sure, there must be something wrong. um, okay, so here it is, done. Let's not go into this now, let's start with this. So what we have seen, so we are on the right track as of now. So we created a decodable expense structure, and then we have this is a model, and then we have uh, one which stores locally. So these are needed in the um, observable observers. So for example, your data task publisher, for this is I think for to get the expense, and we are just using this um, to decode everything. Then we will have add expense and all those things. So yeah, so we are on the right track. So we need to clear things up here, clear some of the things. This expense is, so let's go here and see what we have. So what is the difference? So we have JSON. This is to update the helper method because we don't want this person to be there. It's a problem with my backend that somehow if underscore ID is there, um, it just returns an error. So we need to do loading screens, error handling, so all these things will be done. So here we'll have loading screens and this one. Okay, so it's a problem with my backend. So if you go here in the expense.js, so in the put method, so basically it's a problem with MongoDB. So I'm not sure because I'm new to MongoDB, but I figured out we cannot pass the ID which was created by MongoDB. So we need to just give everything else apart from the ID. So this is where things are going wrong. So either we should pass it here in the expense body, and then take it, and also we are searching with ID here instead of underscore ID. So yeah, okay, that ID is passed as a query parameter, so I think it should, this is the same thing. Yeah, so yeah, so that is the JSON for, and we have ID, we have UID. So this is temporary, we have done for SwiftUI, so try to keep it simple, and all this should go in a view model. So basically all these functions, additional functions, should go inside of a view model. Amount, description, date, what else was there? ID, description, date, and amount. So everything else would be a question mark. This is okay. String interpolation, debug, why is month? Okay, month we had to give, so current month, so that's the logic we have. So we have a pretty bad hard-coded logic in the front end where in the utils we get the month, so month should be in the format. So let's just this is for the month key, month key value pair in the expense model. So what needs to be done here is, so what is done here is, if the month is, so this month is May, so in the calendar, in the date, this one it comes as 4, I think. Yeah, so when you say date and say get month, it gives us 4, so that 4 will be converted into May. The value will be of format mm, and then full year. So if I show you an example, that would be great. Let's check if we have anything here. Body, yeah, post body. So yeah, so it will be a format month hyphen year. So this would be the format of the value. So in this case, May 2020. Okay, great. So this is being populated. Get current month key from our expense stores. Sorry, not here. This is store, this is logger. Yeah, when you are creating the expense, it gets added. I think this should be moved to backend. So the backend should fill this for us because backend knows which month we are in. And what if tomorrow, if I want to move it to the next month, due to any reasons, if we are editing and if we want to move it to next month, right now user doesn't have a control over this. But if suppose user wants to move it to next month, what would be the case? So think of some use cases. Credit cards, payments. If I have to get the there won't be any case, but let's keep the options open. So what we'll do, let's keep it as it is. So we will mimic this here in this one in iOS also. So basically okay, now that we know what we want, just go in. So extra arguments, id, UUID, from decoder. Okay, let's create a separate thing. So what we will do is we won't mess up with the existing code, rather we'll create view models here. Views and then view models. So let's go here, show in Finder. So let's come here and say view models. or say data providers. So if we come here and let's just add new file, Swift expense logger, where, so we have view models, group. Can I create a new group? Okay, let's see. So we'll have sign in view model. This is added here. Let's just delete this as a reference. I need to add the folder as a group. Yeah, it's giving the option here. Xcode doesn't give the option. That's strange. Okay, we have a view model now. Sign in view model, we'll have a expense view model, new file, we'll have a expense view model. Then we will have something like what Flawless iOS has done. So we'll have article view model. This is individual, this one. So this will have expense response view model. So expense list view model. So that would be, we don't want encodable, we want only the decodable part. So this codable conforms to both encodable and decodable, and if you want both, then we can add codable, otherwise we can add only decodable. So I think both can go into the same structure. So expense view model, so we'll first copy this part. We can have entire the sign in response. Where do we, okay, we have an now let's just keep this as a sign in response, and if needed we'll create a view model for that, otherwise let's just ignore it. And here we will have expense list, struct expense list, and this is decodable. My bad. Okay. Ambiguous does not conform to protocol. What do we have to do? Expense is ambiguous in this list. Oh, because we have expense structure here. Oh, yeah, we got it. So let's just, so what we have created is are the models, not the view models. So it has to go here, and for the view models, got my point. So struct expense view model, we have this here, and we will have a expense here. Okay, and the init should take care of it. Expense dot expense dot expense dot expense dot. What is that slash n doing there? I'm not sure. Okay, that's not slash n, that's, so this is id expense.id. We don't want this print. Okay, so we have this additional parameter here. So JSON string. Okay, this is done. We have all the models with us, right? And we need to think of these things now. Sign in response is there, cancellation is there. So hopefully we are good with this. Okay, so good learning here is when you have one part of the data, so never build anything temporary. So even for the POC, it would have been good if I had done it in the right way. Now this I cannot modify, and if I replace this, then I have to change the whole other part. So let's see. Okay, now we have in view model, so authenticated user. So this is the same structure we have here, right? Okay, store authenticated, so we have that. So now we can have sign in view model. We don't want any of this, so what we will do is whatever we have used here in the sign in response, we can have this entire thing sign in cancelable till here. We can have it here, but does not conform to decodable. Why? URL request. Okay, and all of this should go under a function. Sign in with parameters. So the UI gives the parameter to this. So user is a string and password is another string. So return type we don't have yet. Let's see if it throws something. Okay, so what do we have? Sign in response. So is this a sign in response? So we already have a sign in method here which is doing all the stuff. Okay, this is confusing. We have built this in the last session. Oh man. Yeah, it's going in. Okay, then good, then we don't need all these things. So what we need is just to call the network layer here. So create this is what happens if we are not consistent. So we have a model here which has a sign in response, and remove this global and store it in core data. Okay, or hide it in a structure. Struct user and just make it static. Where is authenticated user used? Nowhere. Great. Okay, so these are core data functions. Let it be sign in response, and in this request sign in, this throws, and this is published. So now we need to observe this in the view model, right? So this is not decodable anymore. So at observable object signed in user, so this is published, result is published, result will have sign in response, this result is published. So when this result, so okay, sign in request, expected a var. Okay, this is observable object, sign in request, yes. Unknown observable, unknown attribute observable object. So is it observed? Let's see. SwiftUI at published example. I think hacking with Swift has that. Published, yeah. So this is basically observable object. So at published item, how are you going to access this in the other file? At published, at observed object, we don't have that. Unknown attribute at observed object. So basically SwiftUI keeps changing its internal things. That's what this person is saying. Unknown attribute, so we need to import combine here. I think that's what is happening because we don't have combine. No, observable object. So here you are publishing the value correct? This is observable object. So that's what this person is, observable object, and we have published the result here. So that's what we have done exactly. Does it need to be a view? Why should it be a view? SwiftUI. No. Combine, no. Observed object. The build is failing, but it's not for this reason, it's for some other reason. Use of unresolved identifier for each example, expense example. Okay, so this we need to take care, so let's take care of that. Combine, no, it has to be SwiftUI. So it's under SwiftUI. Okay, we have this now, and let's just okay. Build failed. Amount to display. So here it should be basically the view model, expense view model, expense dot. Okay, then we have description and the date. Expense view model will have description, expense dot description, and the date. I'm not sure how. Was there a date? Amount to display? Yes. So now we are doing it the right way. We have okay, amount to display. So expense dot amount. So we can just give here amount. Date, describing the date, so we can pass in the date string here. In the from the view model we can say, yeah, date is always a string, so we can actually format here, format the date string into a readable date. Okay, for now let's just send it across. Display, amount to display, expense row, expense view model, this is there. Hopefully it goes. And the expenses.example should contain expense view model, not the expense. Alrighty, so we are getting rid of one more thing. Oh man, I'm loving this. So this goes out of here and comes into this, and expense view model, let's have a static where expense view model array of expenses example. Okay, so this is the one, this we have commented, this we have we are in for more trouble. For each expense list view. Okay, that was a bad POC. Actually, POCs are supposed to be bad. Now we have a lot of refactoring to be done from the view side. So all these should not be expense example, it should be the view model. So it should be struct expense list view model, and then from here it should take care of that, right? Okay, expense list view model, and here there should be add function, add expense, this is what I'm thinking right now. Delete expense, update expense, add, delete, update, and CRUD, create, read, get expense. So get expense, so it should not be get some date 2020 05. What's the date today? 23, 24, 25, I'm not sure. Month May of 2020. Creator is another string, and ID double is date dot time interval. Since now. Looks good. Okay. I'm not sure still whether this should be a expense view model, expense list view model, or expense view model. Okay, let's just take this buddy here. Still there is a problem. Expenses list. Okay. Use of unresolved identifier. Okay, now expense list view model dot. Okay. This is there, this is there, this is there, and paste it, paste it, paste it, paste it. Use of unresolved identifier expenses example. Unable to infer complex closure, return type, add explicit type to disambiguate.